Welcome to episode 1 of this new season of Stick to Sports. I'm Zach Mash.
And I'm Zach Malamud. Today, March Madness is finally here. An NFL legend retires and a massive week of contract extensions across the NFL.
Roll it. Future Hall of Fame quarterback Drew Brees has officially retired after 20 seasons. Brees created his legendary status in New Orleans, where he spent the last 15 seasons of his career. Many speculated this was the end of the line for Brees following their playoff loss to the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. But after videos surfaced of Brees working out harder than ever, some doubts were raised. As he gets ready for Canton, where does he rank all time?
What an unbelievable 20-year career for Drew Brees. Stats-wise, he's way up there in this conversation. Talent-wise, though, I think he barely makes the top 10. But I don't think he comes even close to top 5 where people will put him based on stats. Brady, Montana, Manning, Favre, Rodgers, Marino, Unitas, you can go down the list. I think the stats support an argument, and I get that. But an absolute legend. And I think 10 would probably be the highest I could put him on the all-time list.
I agree with you for the most part on that. Obviously, his stats are way up there, like you said. The Saints were a very high frequency passing team for most of his career, especially during his prime when he was putting up 5,000-yard years or whatever he was doing. And the other argument is, he did only win the one Super Bowl, and that's an accomplishment, but he had pretty great teams toward the back end of his career and, was never able to really break through. So I think that definitely brings him down a peg. But as you said, top 10, probably, but kind of borderline.
After an anxious 2-year wait, the men's Division I basketball tournament returns starting with the first 4 on Thursday. The Gonzaga Bulldogs snatched the number 1 seed in this year's tournament with a 26-0 record. Baylor, Illinois, and Michigan grabbed the other 1 seeds after an unprecedented regular season. Zach, looking at these number 1 seeds, which team do you see advancing the furthest?
I know it's going to sound pretty obvious, but I got to go with the Gonzaga Bulldogs on this one. They were the best team all year, undefeated now going into the tournament. Like I said, I know it's an obvious choice, but sometimes you got to go with the obvious and the best team. It's March Madness, so I can't tell you how many years the best team didn't win. We've had years where, some of the best teams in college basketball didn't make it all the way. That Kentucky team a few years ago comes to mind with Karl Anthony Towns and all that other NBA talent. So at this point, until I see otherwise, I got to go with Gonzaga.
Yeah, I think all 4 of these teams have a great shot to win it all. Michigan is really the only one I'm worried for. Without forward Isaiah Livers, I don't think they'll end up winning. But my pick to win it all this year is Baylor. And they've been my pick since they beat Illinois on December 2nd. The biggest key to winning March Madness is guard play. And Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, Davion Mitchell, Adam Flagler, they can start on any team in the country, 4 guards. And they're also one of the best defensive teams in the nation. So Baylor makes it the furthest of the 1 seeds, in my opinion.
It is indeed March Madness season, and if that means anything, it means upsets are on the horizon. There will likely be plenty in the first round, as there are nearly every year, as the madness normally gets going pretty early. We already had the much anticipated 16 seed over 1 seed upset just a couple tournaments ago. With that being said, what games do you have your eye on for a potential first round upset special this year?
That's 16 over 1 a couple of years ago. I think Virginia, the team that lost in that game, is going to lose again in the first round of the tournament this year. I planned on choosing this right when the bracket came out, a remarkable story about Ohio guard Jason Preston he had no Division I offers, and the Bobcats are on fire. They won the MAC conference over Buffalo, and Virginia, on the other hand, is in quarantine right now. They're not traveling to Indianapolis until Friday, and barely any practice time for the Cavaliers. So give me the Ohio Bobcats shocking Virginia in the first round.
It certainly would be a shocker and a pretty bold statement by you to go there. I went a little more conservative with my pick. I'm going, yes, there's bias, of course, but I'm going with my Syracuse Orange over the San Diego State Aztecs. It's an 11 versus a 6 seed. It's not the most bold prediction I've ever seen, but Syracuse, once they get into the tournament, their 2-3 zone is always a problem for teams that haven't faced it all year, aren't used to facing it, aren't ACC teams. And Syracuse is playing their best basketball of the year. They're deeper than they've ever been. They're scoring better than they've ever been. And Buddy Boeheim is playing like one of the best scorers in the country. So call it bias, call it whatever you want, but that's my pick.
Heading over to the NBA, where the front runner in the MVP race took a nasty blow on Friday night. 76ers star Joel Embiid went up for a powerful dunk and landed very awkwardly on his left leg. At first, the Sixers announced it was a hyperextended left knee, but eventually followed up stating Embiid had a bone bruise on his knee and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Not good news for the East #1 seed.
No, it's not. And it comes at a time where the 76ers do not have a lot of breathing room, with obviously the Brooklyn Nets looking right over their shoulders, right behind them. And Joel Embiid was playing at an MVP caliber level. I mean, people saw Hakeem Olajuwon and Joel Embiid this season. That's how good he was playing, just dominating the paint in an era where that doesn't happen as often anymore. So, the 76ers are going to have to rely on Tobias Harris, who's been good this season, but, kind of has a problem with consistency, has since he's been there. Obviously, Ben Simmons, not necessarily a scorer. That's not necessarily his #1 trait, but he's probably going to have to put in a few more points per game for them to stay afloat. It's still a good team. Dwight Howard's obviously going to step up, and but it's certainly not looking good for a team that's trying to hold on to the #1 seed.
Yeah, terrible looking injury. I feel bad for Joel Embiid for all the injuries he's had to go through during his career. And hopefully he's back in 2 weeks when he is reevaluated. But it's a very tight race with the Nets for the East. And it's going to be interesting to see if the Sixers can perform without their star center.
Well, we do certainly hope for the best for Joel Embiid. We're going to take a quick break here on Stick to Sports. Up next, we look at some NFL news and other things. Stay tuned on WTOP 10. Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott finally got his deal done with Jerry Jones after a long standoff. Prescott bet on himself, and it worked, as the former fourth rounder got $160 million. How's this going to work out?
Finally, Jerry Jones finally gave Dak his money that he deserved. This should have been done last season, though. But for Dak, it was completely worth the wait. The Cowboys paid everybody but their quarterback, and this offense is ready to roll. Two things that the Cowboys need right away, though: offensive line and secondary. Both were absolutely abysmal for the Cowboys last season, and they need to clean those things up, and they will probably be my pick out of the NFC East.
They've been my pick for the last couple of years too. Dak, it's hard to do better. I guess I could argue that. It's hard for them to do better. So I guess from that standpoint, it's a deal they had to make. I don't think you ever want to, tie up all that cap space in one player, no matter what player it is. Dak's a good quarterback. Do I think he's top 5, top 10? Probably not. I know as a Giants fan, when we play him, he's not the type that scares me. But listen, it had to go down, and good for Dak. But as you said, it's going to be kind of a cap struggle over the next few years with that horrible Ezekiel Elliott deal that they did, as well as DeMarcus Lawrence and Amari Cooper and all those other deals that they've done. But obviously a great offense with CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, and Cooper, and if Zeke bounces back.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, you brought up a big name there, and they're going to be getting him going. In his second year, he didn't have Dak for too long, but having a very solid quarterback with a wide receiver that has a lot of potential in CeeDee Lamb is going to be great for the Cowboys this season.
They'll certainly put up points. Well, another team that'll put up points, the Packers made a surprising move hours before free agency even opened, re-signing running back Aaron Jones to a 4-year, $48 million deal. This comes at a time when paying big money for running backs in the NFL is controversial. Did the Packers make the right move?
Yes, they did. There is a lot of controversy about paying running backs, but when they're a top running back in all of football, they are completely worth it. And I'm bringing up Derrick Henry also. The franchise tag was a big thing, but they ended up paying him. And that's a very big thing in football. I mean, all of these running backs are tortured without getting those big money deals. Wide receivers are getting them everywhere, quarterbacks, every other position. Running backs, yes, you can find them anywhere, but a running back like Aaron Jones, the Packers do have AJ Dillon and could have gone with him for long term, but Jones has 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons. And as Aaron Rodgers gets older, a run game is vital for the Packers.
I'm going to disagree with you here. I do not think it was the right move. As you said, they do have AJ Dillon as a guy that could be their feature back, and Aaron Jones, while he's a great running back, probably top 10 in the NFL, he's not Saquon Barkley, he's not Christian McCaffrey, and he's not Derrick Henry, in my opinion. So, listen, the Packers did what they did, and I'm sure he's going to continue to be productive for them. But it would be hard. I'd be hard pressed to say they couldn't have spent that cap space on something a little more valuable to them. And and a little bit of an unusual twist to begin free agency, the New England Patriots have been by far the most active team. They brought back quarterback Cam Newton and made other big money pickups in Jonnu Smith, Matt Judon, and now Nelson Aguilar and others. What's going on?
It's Bill Belichick striking again. He does not like losing. That's the only explanation for all of these moves. I'm still a little bit confused about bringing back Cam Newton for another year, but if he has pieces around him, and now he does, Jonnu Smith, Nelson Aguilar, then he can do big things, Cam Newton. And we've seen it before. But finally, they replaced Gronk with Jonnu Smith, and the defense that lost 5 starters last offseason gets a major pickup in Matthew Judon. And this is all Bill Belichick getting back to his winning ways. He does not like losing, and these moves really show that.
Well, I think you're right. I think for the first time ever, it might be a little bit of a desperate stench on Bill Belichick now. You don't see that very often from him because he doesn't have to. But he knows the talent's not necessarily there on that roster right now if he's not going to make any moves. And he doesn't have Tom Brady anymore. The Cam Newton move was certainly a head scratcher to me also. I thought they'd go in a different direction, but clearly Bill, thought a lot of him, and we'll see what happens, but it's certainly an unusual strategy for Bill Belichick's Patriots. And to me, it's pretty interesting to see how it's going to work out for them.
Yeah, but with free agency season almost underway, that means the NFL draft is just over 1 month away. Other than the number 1 pick, where it looks like Jacksonville will draft Trevor Lawrence, it is still a huge question where heads are at in front offices right now. With the draft coming up soon, Zach, which prospect stands out to you the most?
This is an easy one for me, and it's been this way for a few months now, and that's Alabama wide receiver, not maybe the one you're thinking, but Jalen Waddle. To me, is my favorite player in this draft by far. I'm absolutely praying that the Giants, my Giants, get him at 11. I've never seen a wide receiver accelerate like Jalen Waddle does. I've seen him take angles on quarterbacks and get past them like no one I've ever seen before. And it sounds like hyperbole, but I truly believe that. People throw out Tyreek Hill for a lot of these fast receivers. They threw it out for Ruggs, but I think that Waddle not only has the speed, but the contested catch ability, the route running ability, and all the other things that you need to be a great receiver in the NFL. And it's just a joy to watch him.
Yeah, I love Jalen Waddle. He has a lot of potential at wide receiver, but my favorite prospect is Trey Lance. This guy can do it all at the quarterback position. He has unbelievable arm strength with great running ability, and his accuracy is some of the best in the college game. He threw 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, hitting 66% of his throws in 2019. Yes, he didn't play a season this past year, but his pro day proved nothing has changed since we last saw him. Trey Lance has a very bright NFL future ahead of him, and he is my favorite prospect in this upcoming draft. But now we need to look at positional rankings. and we will start with wide receivers. Who are your top 5 wide receivers in this year's draft?
Well, I'm going to go with Jamar Chase, number one. I think he's the best combination of all of these guys. He's got the speed, he's got the strength, he's got the ability to go get contested balls. He's got a good, solid frame to him, and I think he's the best overall. And then I'm going to have Jalen Waddle ahead of the Heisman winner Devontae Smith for all the reasons I outlined in the previous segment. Then I'll go with Heisman winner Devontae Smith. Obviously, the production's there, the tools are there. His frame scares me. His lack of top end speed scares me as well. And we go to number 4, and I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman. He's another guy that has all the tools to be successful. Good build, really good route runner. That's probably his best attribute. And number 5 for me is going to be Terrace Marshall out of LSU. Another really good all-around player. Maybe not necessarily a speedster or anything great that stands out, but a really good all-around player.
At 1, I have Devontae Smith out of Alabama. At 2, I have Jamar Chase. 3, I have Jalen Waddle. 4, I have Rashad Bateman. And 5, I have Kadarius Toney. I like Devonta Smith over Jamar Chase. The two can do the same things, really. But Chase is a pure wide receiver based on his size and strength over Smith. And Smith has the speed and the quickness over Chase. Looking at the NFL today, though, I think speed is a bigger part of the game today. And you can ask Tyreek Hill about that one. But finally, over to the quarterback position, where most mock drafts have up to 5 quarterbacks getting drafted in the first round. Who are your top 5 quarterbacks in this year's draft?
Well, I'm not going to get cute with it. Number 1's going to be Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, one of the more polished quarterback prospects we've seen in a long time, maybe since Andrew Luck. And my second one's going to be Justin Fields. And I know that a lot of people are going to have Zach Wilson there. He's number 3 for me. But Justin Fields is a guy that I thought showed all the tools in the playoff last year. I think he played at a high level for a very big-time school and played in a lot of big games. And Zach Wilson, to me, he had one year where he was great, but need to see a little more. Size-wise, he scares me a little bit. Number 4 for me is going to be Trey Lance. Just haven't seen enough from him to put him any higher, but obviously the talent and the tools are there. And number 5 for me is going to be Mac Jones, who probably going to be taken top 15 because of the numbers he put up, but for me, just doesn't necessarily stand out in any meaningful way, but still a solid prospect.
At number 1, I have Trevor Lawrence. At 2, I have Zach Wilson. At 3, I have Trey Lance. 4, I have Justin Fields. And 5, I have Mac Jones. Yeah, I have Trey Lance over Justin Fields. And the first 2 are easy here. Lawrence can be a Hall of Famer, and Wilson was a monster last season at BYU. But Lance over Fields is the right move. Everything Lance brings to the game and his size at 6'4", I think he beats out Justin Fields, who showed his potential in the Clemson game, but didn't show it in any other big game this year. And it's making me very worried for his NFL career. The only reason Mac Jones is at 5 is just because his athleticism versus the other quarterbacks. But we do have to take a quick break. But when we come back, Zach, you will be joined by Ben Diamond. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Stick to Sports.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Joining me now is Ben Diamond, one of our producers. Ben, what do you have for us tonight?
A couple of games after the All-Star break, the New York Knicks are 20-19, one game off of last season's total of 21 wins. Led by All-Star Julius Randle, along with help from the majority of the roster, like an improved RJ Barrett and 2020 first-round pick Emmanuel Quickley, the Knicks have become a team that Knicks fans can be excited about. And truly, they have. I feel like every day, whenever they have a game on, I am excited to turn on the TV and watch the Knicks play basketball for the first time in what I feel like in forever, in maybe my entire life. And one question I have about how they're doing the season is, do you think that this can attract superstars to the Knicks? I think it can, because if the players feel that the team isn't incompetent and that they could feed off the energy that this team has brought, I think that in the next couple of years, the Knicks could land a superstar that puts them over the top.
Well, that's always the talking point with the Knicks, isn't it? Are we going to be able to get the superstar now? And I think it's been a great step in the right direction this year. Emmanuel Quickley's obviously been a revelation. Pick in the 20s has been great. a young roster. Julius Randle's playing like an all-star that he was named. RJ Barrett's really coming on the last few weeks, and Tom Thibodeau really seems to have this team playing well. So we'll see. Hopefully Knicks fans can have even more to be excited about.
Yeah, the team has a lot of potential. Now, moving over to baseball, Domingo Hermann has come into spring training with a fire in his heart. In his first 3 spring appearances, he has gone 9 innings pitched with only 5 hits, 13 strikeouts, a 0 ERA, and a .67 WHIP. These impressive numbers remind fans of his dominance in parts of 2019 before being suspended for the latter half of that season and all of 2020. He hopes to show why he deserves a spot in the Yankees rotation this season. Now, another thing about Herman is he didn't look good back at some points in 2019, but here he has looked very good. And the question for him is, can he keep up the dominance? Can he be consistent? What hurt him in 2019 was the long ball. Now playing Yankee Stadium, that doesn't help. But if he can limit the long ball for the entire season, I think that he could keep up these numbers that he's been showing us so far.
He's certainly looked great. He's looked sharp. His curveball, his changeup, his fastball, all of it's looked really good this spring. And like you said, the long ball certainly hurt him in 2019. And if he can throw less hangers this year, and be consistent with his stuff, he should be a positive pitcher for the Yankees this season.
Now, sticking to baseball, but moving over to Queens, Luis Guillermo had one of the longest at-bats in MLB history Sunday with a 22-pitch at-bat versus Cardinals flamethrower Jordan Hicks. The at-bat lasted 12 minutes as Hicks threw pitch after pitch over 99 miles per hour. If this had happened in a regular season game, it would have been the longest at-bat in Major League history. Now, the longest at-bat in Major League history happened 3 years ago in April of 2018. It was Brandon Belt versus Jaime Barria. That was, I believe, 11 minutes and 21 pitches. And then last season, Matt Wieters had a 19 pitch at bat. And I just think that this is something that we really don't see often, even though it's happened a couple of times in the last few years. It's really quite unique and not something you really see often.
It's fun to see that in big situations. That's always something that increases the tension late in games. It was obviously fun to watch. Jordan Hicks, as you said, throws extremely hard, so it's pretty tough to square up sometimes. And it's just fun to see happen and fun to see something unusual happen in Major League Baseball. That being said, we'll take a quick break here on Stick to Sports. Thanks once again to Ben for his segment. When we come back, Zach and I will go through our best bets and what to watch for. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Stick to Sports on WTOP 10.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Heading into what to watch, and mine is coming straight out of March Madness. It's the 9 seed Missouri Tigers taking on the 8 seed Oklahoma Sooners in the West region on Saturday at 7:25. The winner will have the toughest test of anyone, most likely going up against Gonzaga in the next round. But this, in my opinion, is the tightest matchup of the first round. Both teams have knocked off title contenders this season, with Oklahoma beating Alabama, Kansas, and Texas, and Missouri knocking off Illinois and Alabama. Drew Smith and Xavier Pinson taking on Austin Reeves and Davion Harmon. I think the X factor is Jeremiah Tillman down low, though, for Missouri. But this is a game that should have people on the edge of their seats on Saturday.
Speaking of the NCAA tournament, that's where my what to watch is coming for as well. And mine is just the beginning of the NCAA tournament. There's obviously going to be 4 playing games to determine the last 4 spots into the initial round of 68. The initial round of 64, excuse me. The first NCAA tournament games played in nearly 2 years are going to take place. UCLA faces off with Michigan State, battle of 11 seeds. Drake faces off with Wichita State, another battle of 11 seeds. Obviously, 2 16 seeds are going to be going at it as well. And to be honest with you, I'm just excited to watch a couple of teams fight for their tournament lives again, and to get some March Madness going on. It's been too long. I think you would agree with me on that.
No doubt. And shifting to our best bets, my best bet of the week is also coming in March Madness, but it comes out of the South region this time. I have the Purdue Boilermakers over the North Texas Mean Green. And this line at -7.5 looks very juicy to me. The Boilermakers are in their home state in Illinois with fans allowed in arenas. They're not going to be in their home arena, but they will be in Indianapolis. And along with the fact that more than half of the team's wins this season have been by 8 or more points, and that's in the very tough Big Ten conference. So I'm taking Purdue at -7.5. North Texas getting the automatic bid out of Conference USA, but Trevion Williams down low, Jaden Ivey at the guard position. It's just too much for the Mean Green. I expect Purdue to come out firing on Friday at 7:25.
That's no doubt a juicy line. Anyways, my best bet this week comes from the NBA as the Washington Wizards face off with the Milwaukee Bucks for the second time in as many nights. The Wizards have been playing much better of late. Russell Westbrook has rounded back into the form that he showed last year and obviously earlier on in his career. And Bradley Beal is obviously playing like a scoring champion caliber, all-star caliber player. And they come in as 9.5-point underdogs. And they just lost by 6 last night playing the same team. And it's a talented Wizards team. So to me, I'd take a shot on that. Wizards have been, like I said, playing a lot better lately. And I always go with talent. And a backcourt as talented as Westbrook and Beal, I think, can put up a good fight against the Bucks.
But that's all the time we have on this episode of Stick to Sports. Be sure to tune in next week right here on WTOP 10.